A pleasant day, everyone. Now we're gonna report the agricultural practices and soil degradation. According to Alam 2014, soil degradation is one of the key areas in which agriculture impacts upon ecology. Examples of soil degradation are first, loss of organic matter. It is the reduction in soil carbon, nutrients, and microorganisms, affecting fertility, water holding capacity, and soil biota. Next, we have the unfavorable changes in salinity, acidity, or alkalinity. It is a soil pH imbalance whether it is too acidic, alkaline, or salty. It affecting nutrient availability, plant growth, and microorganism activity. Third, we have the effects of toxic chemicals. It is a contamination from pollutants such as pesticide, heavy metals, industrial waste, harming soil biota, plants, and humans. Fourth, we have the decline in structural state. It is the deterioration of soil aggregates, reducing root growth. Fifth, we have the erosion. It is a loss of topsoil through wind or water, reducing soil depth, fertility, and productivity. Lastly, we have the pollutants or excessive flooding. It is a contamination from agricultural runoff. Now we have the problem statement. First, we have the poor farming practices. It refers to unsustainable agricultural method that degrade soil health, reduce fertility, and decrease crop yields. These practices include monocropping, overtilling, inadequate crop rotation, and insufficient soil conservation. Second, we have the inefficient irrigation system. Wastewater leading to soil salinization, waterlogging, and reduced crop yields. Over-irrigation causes soil erosion, nutrient leaching, and groundwater contamination. Third, we have the over-reliance on chemical fertilizers and pesticide pollutes soil and threatening ecosystem balance. Excessive fertilizer use leads to soil degradation and nutrient imbalances. Fourth, we have the deforestation. Refers to the widespread clearance of forests, usually for agriculture purposes, urbanization, or logging. This destructive practice leads to loss of biodiversity and soil erosion. Fifth, we have the industrial agriculture involves large-scale, intensive farming practices prioritizing efficiency and profit over sustainability. This approach relies heavily on chemical fertilizer, pesticide, and monoculture cropping, resulting in soil degradation. Next, we have the overgrazing occurs when livestock exceed the carrying capacity of grazing lands, causing soil degradation, erosion, and loss of vegetation. Lastly, we have the urbanization, refers to the rapid expansion of cities leading to environmental degradation. Now let's go to causes of the problem. First, we have the excessive tillage and heavy machinery. It harms soil health by breaking up soil structures, compacting soil layers, and destroying beneficial microorganisms. Second, the excessive and unbalanced use of inorganic fertilizers. It contaminates soil and causing environmental degradation. Overfertilization leads to soil acidification, nutrient imbalances, and decreased microbial activity. Third, we have the excessive pesticide application. It contributes to soil pollution. Fourth, inadequate crop residue and organic carbon. Its inputs deplete soil fertility, structure, and biodiversity. Insufficient organic matter reduces soil's water holding capacity, nutrient cycling, and microbial activity. Lastly, we have the poor crop cycle planning. It leads to soil degradation, reduced biodiversity, and decreased agricultural productivity. Now let's discuss the impact of soil degradation on human health. First, we have the health threats through the food supply and decreased food security. It arises from unsustainable agricultural practices and soil degradation. Decreased food security exacerbates poverty, hunger, and malnutrition, particularly among vulnerable populations. Second, we have the zoonotic diseases. It is an illness transmitted from animals to humans, often through contaminated food, water, or direct contact. Third, we have the water and food-borne diseases. It results from consuming contaminated water or food. Lastly, we have the occupational hazards in agriculture, including exposure to toxic chemicals, physical injuries, respiratory problems, and mental health issues. Now, let's discuss the economic impact of soil degradation. First, we have the reduced crop yields. It occurs when environmental stressors, unsustainable practices, or lack of resources diminish agricultural output. This decrease in crop production affects farmers' livelihoods, food availability, and local economies. Next, we have the decreased agricultural productivity, refers to the decline in efficiency and output of agricultural system. This decrease can result from soil degradation, inadequate inputs, inefficient farming practices, and climate change. Third, we have lower revenues for farmers, result from reduced crop yields, decreased productivity, and fluctuating marketing prices. This financial instability jeopardizes farmers' livelihoods, forcing them to adopt unsustainable practices or abandon farming altogether. Fourth, we have poverty in agricultural communities arises from reduced incomes, limited job opportunities, and inadequate access to resources. Soil degradation, climate change, and inefficient agricultural practices exacerbate poverty. Next, we have climate change. Exacerbates agricultural challenges, causing extreme weather events, shifting growing seasons, and altering pest and disease patterns. Rising temperatures and changing precipitation patterns threaten global food security, agricultural productivity, and ecosystem balance. Next, we had food insecurities arises when population lack access to sufficient, nutritious food, reduced crop yields, decreased agricultural productivity, and economic instability contribute to food insecurity. This vulnerable affects vulnerable groups, particularly children, women, and the poor. Next, we have economic instability in agricultural sectors result from fluctuating market prices, reduced revenues, and decreased productivity. This instability affects national economies, farmer livelihoods, and local communities. Lastly, we have social unrest in agricultural communities arises from poverty, food insecurity, economic instability, and perceived injustice. Protests, migrations, and conflict can ensue when communities feel marginalized or neglected.
According to UNESCO 2024, soil degradation poses significant challenges to agricultural practices globally, with approximately 75% of soils already degraded, potentially increasing to 90% by 2050. Agriculture contributes to environmental challenges such as deforestation, habitat loss, pollution, and erosion. Key factors include erosion, contamination, and loss of organic carbon, exacerbated by unsustainable agricultural methods and climate change. Soil degradation leads to reduced productivity and increased food insecurity. Effective management practices such as eco-friendly amendments and sustainable land use are essential to restore soil health and ensure future food security. No-till farming minimizes soil disturbance by eliminating tillage, preserving soil health and structure. This method reduces erosion, conserves moisture, and promotes soil biota. No-till farming also decreases greenhouse gas emissions, mitigates climate change, and supports biodiversity. By reducing soil disturbance, farmers can improve crop yields, lower input costs, and promote sustainable agriculture. Planting crops on bare fields, also known as cover cropping, protects soils from erosion, reduces weed growth, and enhances soil fertility. This practice involves planting crops between season or on idle land. Cover crops like legumes, grasses, and cereals improve soil health, increase organic matter, and support beneficial insects. This sustainable approach promotes ecosystem services, reduces chemical fertilizer use, and enhances agricultural resilience. Reducing soil disturbance involves minimizing tillage, avoiding compactation, and preserving soil structure. This approach maintains soil health, promotes water infiltration, and reduces erosion. By minimizing soil disturbance, farmers can increase crop yields, reduce input costs, and promote sustainable agriculture. Conservation tillage, no-till farming, and reduced tillage are effective strategies for reducing soil disturbance. Crop rotation involves alternating crops to maintain soil fertility, reduce pests and diseases, and promote biodiversity. This practice breaks the disease cycle, improves soil structure, and increases nutrient availability. Crop rotation also mitigates climate change by sequestering carbon, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and promoting ecosystem services. Effective crop rotation strategies include rotating legumes and cereals, incorporating cover crops, and diversifying crop selections. Providing research-based survival tactics for farmers enhances agricultural resilience and sustainability. This involves disseminating climate-smart agricultural practices, integrated pest management techniques, and soil conservation strategies. Research-based approaches empower farmers to adapt to climate change, improve crop yields, and reduce environmental impact. Extension services, training programs, and agricultural advisory services play crucial roles in promoting research-based agricultural practices. Conservation agriculture is a farming system that focuses on minimizing soil disturbance, maintaining permanent soil cover, and diversifying crop rotations. These practices help to improve soil health, reduce erosion, and enhance water infiltration, ultimately combating soil degradation. It prevents erosion, improves soil structure, and enhances water retention. The precision fertilization method uses technology like GPS and sensors to apply fertilizer only where and when it's needed, optimizing nutrient use and reducing fertilizer waste. This minimizes nutrient runoff, which can lead to water pollution and soil degradation. It reduces nutrient runoff, minimizing soil contamination. Afforestation is the process of planting trees on land that was previously not forested. Trees help bind soil, prevent erosion, and improve soil fertility. They also act as carbon sinks, mitigating climate change, which can exacerbate soil degradation. It stabilizes soil, improves fertility, and provides a buffer against erosion. Pollution control measures such as wastewater treatment and industrial emissions reduction help prevent pollutants from reaching the soil. These measures minimize soil contamination, which can lead to reduced productivity and harmful effects on ecosystems. It prevents soil contamination from industrial and agricultural sources, safeguarding soil health. Economic constraints hinder agricultural development and sustainability. These limitations include high production costs, low commodity prices, limited access to credit and markets, and inadequate infrastructure. Economic constraints force farmers to adopt unsustainable practices, compromising long-term productivity and environmental health. Technical limitation impede agricultural progress, stemming from outdated equipment, inadequate irrigation systems, and insufficient technological expertise. These limitations reduce efficiency, productivity, and crop quality. Environmental factors such as climate change, soil degradation, and water scarcity significantly impact agricultural productivity. Extreme weather events, pests, and diseases exacerbate these challenges. Social barriers hinder agricultural development, including limited education, inadequate extension services, and social inequality. These barriers restrict farmers' access to knowledge, resources, and markets. Institutional weaknesses undermine agricultural development characterized by inadequate governance, ineffective regulatory frameworks, and insufficient support services. Policy inconsistencies create uncertainty and hinder agricultural development. Incoherent policies, conflicting regulations, and inadequate enforcement discourage investment and innovation. Practicing crop rotation. Crop rotation involves alternating crops to maintain soil fertility, reduce pests and diseases, and promote biodiversity. Agroforestry integrates trees into agricultural landscapes, enhancing biodiversity, soil health, and ecosystem services. Permaculture designs sustainable ecosystems by mimicking nature, minimizing external inputs, and maximizing biodiversity. Choosing organic and locally sourced food reduces exposure to synthetic pesticides, supports local economies, and promotes environmentally friendly farming practices. Composting food waste recycles nutrients, reduces landfill waste, and creates natural fertilizers. Reducing meat consumption decreases greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, and water pollution associated with animal agriculture. Minimizing pesticide and herbicide use protects human health, biodiversity, and environmental ecosystems from chemical contamination.